I'm John Bruner. I'm an editor at O'Reilly Media, which is a technical publisher and sort of conversation convener that's based out in California. Programming lets me open up all sorts of really interesting data sets, and it also lets me gather data sets. I can go out into the wild, so to speak, and measure things, write scripts that go to websites and pull in information, or query services like Twitter and Facebook to learn things about people and places and companies and ideas. I picked up coding when I noticed that there was a lot of really interesting data that it was tough to get into and to break apart and to use with sort of interactive methods like Excel. I started to find these really big data sets that Excel simply couldn't open. So then I started to look for other tools, and that one thing led to another, and I started programming. The first programming tool that I used was a statistical package called Stata that lets you, it's a good introduction to scripting because it lets you choose things on an interactive menu and then prints the command that you could have used to generate it instead. So I started using Stata, and then I started using Python and ActionScript and then JavaScript for interactive visualizations and stuff like that. Coding is something that I think has to be self-taught and has to come from a genuine interest in what you're doing. It's an explorative process, and you know, an instructor is useful. I don't mean that you shouldn't have an instructor, but if you have an instructor, you'll still be doing most of the discovery on your own by going through when you're not in class and trying to write a program and seeing where you fail and fixing the problems and learning from them. That's the essence of learning. So it's frustrating at first, but it becomes really satisfying really quickly. It can be tricky at times to keep up with it, but remarkably, once you've learned how to program in one language, it's not very difficult to learn another language, especially pretty, well-developed and well-established languages like Python and JavaScript. I went from Python and learned ActionScript without too many problems, and then I went from ActionScript and learned JavaScript without too many problems. The great thing about JavaScript in particular is that support for it is becoming much more robust and more standardized in browsers, and browsers are becoming more powerful. So a browser like Chrome can compute a lot more complex computations in the click of a mouse than browsers used to be able to. And that means you can have really complicated interactives that readers can enjoy. Readers can encounter a lot of data and manipulate it and come to understand it.